awareness. No, okay, I never did. I didn't look for it actually, but I might try something. Okay, so it starts with a quote. The quote is it's from the Buddha. And the Buddha, he said, "And further, a monk knows when he is going. I am going. He knows when he is standing. I am standing. He knows when he is sitting. I am sitting. He knows when he is lying down. I am lying down." The Buddha. Now, Stephen Batchelor's words. So this is a very everyday analogy. "I open the refrigerator to discover that I have no milk, and so decide to go down to the store to get some. I shut the door behind me, turn left into the street, follow the sidewalk for 2 blocks, turn left and left again, enter the store, snatch a carton of milk from the shelf, pay for it at the checkout, leave the store, turn right and right again, go back along the sidewalk for 2 blocks, turn right, unlock the door, and go back into the kitchen. The only evidence I have that any of this has happened is the cold carton of milk now clutched rather too firmly in my hand. As I try to reconstruct those 10 vanished minutes, I recall being engrossed in a memory of something S said to me yesterday that I've been shrugging off ever since. It irked me and has become lodged as a stab of disquiet somewhere in the upper part of my stomach. I can remember that as I walked along, I was absorbed in what I should have said when the remark was made, and what I would say were it repeated. The exact words of my response escape me, but I recall feeling gratified by their sharp blend of insouciance and cruelty, confirmed in my imagination by the look of fear on S's face as he is pinned to a rough wooden floor. As for the first chill hint of winter in the gust of wind that sent the last withered leaves scratching along the sidewalk before me as I pulled my warm collar tight against the skin of my neck, I have no recollection. And although I was staring intently in S's direction, I failed to notice the waving arm of my friend perched on his bicycle across the street, his call and whistle, his smile as he rode off when the light turned green. Much of our time is spent like this. As we become aware of it, we begin to suspect that we are not entirely in control of our lives. Much of the time, we are driven by a relentless and insistent surge of impulses. We notice this in quiet moments of reflection, but usually just get carried along on the crest of its wave. Until that is, we crash once more onto the rocks of recriminatory self-consciousness, and from there into moods and depressions. One of the most difficult things to remember is to remember to remember. Awareness begins with remembering what we tend to forget. Drifting through life on a cushioned surge of impulses is but one of many strategies of forgetting. Not only do we forget to remember, we forget that we live in a body with senses and feelings and thoughts and emotions and ideas. Worrying about what a friend said can preoccupy us so completely that it isolates us from the rest of our experience. The world of colours and shapes, sounds, smells, tastes and sensations becomes dull and remote. Even the person who offers sympathy appears alien and out of reach. We feel cut off and adrift. To stop and pay attention to what is happening in the moment is one way of snapping out of such fixations. It is also a reasonable definition of meditation. To stop and pay attention to what is happening in the moment is one way of snapping out of such fixations. It is also a reasonable definition of meditation. And the word meditation yoga is the same one. So now spread the arms. Let the eyes close, let the face relax. Be aware of the legs, especially the roots of the thighs moving down. Let the hands become quieter and softer as the chest lifts with more brightness. Feel the air moving in the nostrils and expanding inside the chest. As you breathe in, lift from the back ribs. And then breathing out, bring the palms together. Vande Gurunam Charanaravinde Sandara Shita Swatmo Sukhavapode Nishrayase Jangali Kayamarde Samsara Hala Hala Mohashite Abahu Purushakaram Shankachakra Dharinam Sahasra Shirasam Shriyatam Pranamami Patanjali. Now begin your ritual of consecration. That's a term that Christian Pisana uses. Begin your ritual of consecration. I normally just say it now, enjoy it, practice. I'll have to look it up. I don't really know what consecration means, if I'm completely honest. Consecration. That's all right, Tanya, I got your message, that's great. I just looked it up in the dictionary, consecration. It's no wonder I didn't know what it means. The act of consecrating, dedication to the service and worship of a deity. The act of consecration. Morning, Carly. Welcome. Just get started whenever you're ready. So the example that Stephen Batchelor uses is very easy to relate to, I think, for most of us. We've all found ourselves walking up or down the stairs thinking, as we stop and gaze out the window, what was I coming up the stairs for? What was I going down the stairs for? And then sometimes you stop and you start thinking, what was I going up or down the stairs? You can't even remember if you were going up the stairs or down the stairs. So absorbed in your own imagination. So it's a gentle reminder that we're practicing paying attention. Now you're all very experienced. You know the sequence. You're familiar with the directions of extension in lots of poses, the actions. In some ways, that's great, and in other ways, that makes it even easier to make it look like you're practicing yoga, but really you're just lost in imagination, daydreams. He said, she said, I should have said. So each time you notice that occurring, the mind wanders, just snap out of it. Remember to remember. Jay, just have a look at your right toes. Try and keep the right toes pointing at the wall behind you. Yeah, you're doing it quite nicely, but you've got to lower the right hip even more. Try not to let your right toes point towards the floor, but pointing to the wall behind you. Yeah, that's it. Now stay with your process, breathing, moving the body, feeling the sensations, the very normal, everyday sensations. That opening quote, when I'm sitting, I know I'm sitting. When I'm standing, I know I'm standing. It seems like so ludicrously basic. You think, well, what's the good in that? But when you're standing, know you're standing. When you're breathing in, know you're breathing in. When you're breathing out, know you're breathing out. So I'd like to bring in another concept. And I'll do it by reading this poem, which I read yesterday, but not everybody was here, so I'm going to read it again. It's a beautiful poem which gives us instruction, essentially for awakening sensitivity and also for realizing how supportive we really are. So the poem is called Shared Space. She's talking about sitting because she's in the Zen tradition, but we could just as well say when we're practicing. And she actually interchanges those words a bit. So Sylvia Ostertag, she wrote, when we sit together in silence, of course, each of us practices in our own way. Nevertheless, there is this shared space which creates a special strength and concentration. Is it possible to perceive and acknowledge how the practice of the others supports us? So that's a question. Is it possible to perceive and acknowledge how the practice of the others supports us? How do they do this? It is best if they do nothing. They just sit there in their silence. This is what they do for me. Just as I, by sitting here in my silence, am here for them. Strange that we do not recognize always and everywhere how every presence supports the presence of each of us, that we do not always recognize the shared space. So I know it's tricky being on Zoom to realize that actually you're practicing this morning with a group of about 20 people. And of course there are other people in other groups and Zoom rooms and countries and continents practicing away. And if we go beyond time and space, there's generations before us that have been practicing awareness practices. And just the recognition and acknowledgement of this can be supportive. So it might appear that you're in a room on your own, some of you, but you're not. You're here practicing together. Just quietly acknowledge that. Now, as you carry on with your process, I invite you to notice the difference between an obvious external movement of the musculoskeletal body, and then notice moments of stillness. Notice movements, notice stillness. Start from the musculoskeletal body. You might be moving from upward dog to downward dog, jumping forward, jumping back. And then even if it's just the tail end of an exhalation as you hang in a forward bend, there's a moment of stillness. Acknowledge the moments of stillness. Or when you're holding a pose and it's comparatively still, acknowledge and notice the stillness. Now from the musculoskeletal body, take the awareness more internally to the part that I certainly cannot see. Notice the workings of your own thought process, mind, moods, emotions. When is the mind moving, thinking? When is the mind still? So just like you've got movement of the body and then stillness, there'll be moments when there are thoughts, or maybe we could even say there are moments where there are strings of thoughts, but naturally they peter out. It might only be for a moment, but acknowledge those moments where there's stillness in the mind. You might just catch a glimpse. Often it's the end of the exhale. When the body is still, allow yourself to relax into the stillness. When the mind is still, acknowledge it, notice it. There's no need to really do anything, but you can really deeply relax there. Amy, head back a little bit. That's great, keep breathing. Relax, spread your fingers, spread your toes. Start to enliven from the hands and feet through the arms and the legs. J, quieten the face, relax the mouth especially. So I've given you these pointers to notice the difference between the physical body in stillness and moving. Notice the difference between thoughts. And even if you're scanning the body, you might be thinking with language, feet, legs, pelvis, spine, arms, face. Those are still sort of thoughts. Sometimes they're not, because there's no language, there's just direct perception, it's slightly different. Anyway, notice this difference between mind, thoughts, gaps, silence in the mind. And now also notice the difference between when it feels like you're doing something. You might be doing the pose. You might be doing an action within the pose. Notice when you're doing, that's a particular mode of being, doing stuff. And then this alternative mode, just notice when you're just being. Now, in a way, you've heard me say this before, by asking you to scan through the body, divide the body, segment the body, dissect the body, clarify the directionality within the body parts and actions. That's the dissection, the doing. And then there's always a couple of breaths at the end to just feel the body as a whole. It's more reflective, and you go more into the mode of being. I know that all of you are quite good and familiar with both modes, but it's quite challenging to switch from one mode to the other. So you're very good at just doing Shavasana with an eye pillow on for a quarter of an hour. You're all quite experienced at that. You're good at switching off at the end of practice. Not exactly switching off, is it? But can you switch, even in standing poses, between this mode of doing and this mode of being? Chris, do less now, just be there. Just be there. Certain phrases do guide us toward that mode of being. It's good enough. You're already whole. Relax. Relax the face. Let go. I mean, there'll be loads of other phrases that'll work for you. So of course you use the techniques which work for you. Discard the techniques which are like unnecessary thoughts. Just let them go. Chris, just be there now, do less. Claire, just be there. Just keep your hand on your back, just stay there. Just experience yourself in that shape, breathing. Fiona, just be there, breathe, do nothing else, just the breathing is happening, let it happen, just be there. Carly, just be there, relax then. Nothing else to do, just breathe and be there. Alan, that's looking really good. Stay with the back leg, strong back leg. Muriel, just be there, do less. It's perfect as it is. Nina, just relax there. Now I want to acknowledge it makes a change. I've spent a few minutes, and literally just a few minutes, telling most of you, just be there. And yet you spent months hearing me shout either at you directly or indirectly, bad leg, coccyx. But so it makes a change, doesn't it? I'm trying to be humorous about it, but I'm just acknowledging that I know that I, in my own practice, and when I'm teaching, I get stuck in the mode of doing. So inadvertently, I probably heaped that onto you, which I apologise for. Now the skill is, and this is the skill, stay in this mode where you're predominantly just being in the pose. Each time you dissolve the pose, come out of the pose, exit the pose, create the next pose, just lightly sketch out the next posture, systematically move from the foundation through the mood of ease to the rooting element or the stabilizing action part. Maybe make one or two light adjustments to position the pelvis, the spine, the chest, the arms. And then stay there, relax. Stay in the mode of being rather than continuously adjusting, readjusting. Ellie, stay in that shape, relax. Susan, relax, that's perfect, relax. Jay, check in with the breathing, keep it soft and fairly quiet. Just like there's a mode of doing compared to a mode of being in the musculoskeletal body, there's a mode of thinking compared to silence within the mind. There's also this mode with the breathing where you just let it happen compared to pushing or forcing the breath. Most of the day, you're probably not thinking about the breathing, it just happens. So a technique for softening the breathing is to listen to sounds. I can hear right now, I can hear my next door neighbours, I can hear their children. I can hear in the distance upstairs, I can hear lessons coming through the internet. My 15-year-old son, I don't know what he's got, but I can hear some lesson going on through the internet upstairs. All of that's background. I can hear the ticking of the clock in this studio where I'm sitting. And when I'm practicing and I notice I've got into the mode where my breathing is forced, I just listen out for the clock, the distant sounds in the environment. And this quietens the breathing. And it actually brings me back into realizing that I'm here in this room. Chris, gently draw the left shoulder back again. Just gently, that's it, tiny movement, then relax. Sharon, just check your legs are strong, and then relax. Tanya, take your time to get the rooting element, the descending of the pelvis. Descend first, descend. Jack, stay with your feet, with your legs, feet, legs. Predominantly feel feet, legs, toes, feet, legs. Breathe into the legs. Carly, relax your shoulders. Draw your elbows ever so slightly towards your knees and shins, just to touch. Yeah, that's enough already. Relax them. It's good, Tanya. Keep breathing. Stay with the descending element of the pelvis, legs, pelvis, legs. Claire, stay with the back leg. Nina, relax your shoulders more, face more, shoulders relax, face relax. When we're working in this mode and we're making suggestions, I mean, I'm making the suggestion and you might be going with it or you might be following your own suggestion. One of the things that I will do in my own process is I say to myself, so I'm in a pose, and I say quietly to myself, internally, I will remind myself, relax the face. Sometimes I feel that relaxed, and at other times I don't. So if it's not really feeling like the relaxation is coming, I move and I say, relax the mouth. And by the time I get to the mouth, I can normally feel some form of release. But to release it further, I'll then move on verbally to say, relax the tongue. Now, when I'm at a place such as the tongue or the mouth and it is relaxing, I don't need to add anything else. I just stay there with that feeling. So the skill I'm asking you to develop now is this ability to notice when the release is coming and stay with that. Or alternatively, you might be in the phase more of activation. Now, most of you are familiar with a lot of the language I use. So when you hear me say, lift your knees, firm your thighs, once you're doing that, you just keep doing that. When you hear me say, squeeze the outer hips in, it's all part of the same kinetic chain. So you might not need to keep saying so many things to yourself. So part of what we're working on today, this quietening of the mind, is you do actions, but you keep them more minimal now. Carly, hands on the waist, elbows back. Lift your leg right up, and then exhale the leg down. And then relax. There are moments in between the poses where you keep reminding yourself, relax. Allow your legs, lift your knees and thighs. You're doing it already, that's enough. Jack, exhale for the knees, straighten the knees. You can have your hands further forward, but just exhale to straighten the knees. Or you could take your feet a bit closer together, which would make it a bit easier to straighten the knees. Not a lot, but a little bit. Just keep gently working on straightening the knees. Jake, follow the out breath. As you follow the out breath, allow allow your nerves to settle. Relax the nervous system. When we're working with this mode of being, very deliberately to relax them. I know it sounds like something out of a Jane Austen novel or a period drama. Relax. It's actually quite a useful expression. Imagine the brain, from the base of the brain, imagine the spinal cord. From the spinal cord, all the nerves then branch out from the spine. They're spreading through the whole of the body. Just like you relax your mouth, you relax your tongue, relax the gateways of the senses. Use the imagination and relax the nerves. Now, anytime you activate the body, you're stimulating the nerves. So is it possible to have this alert, awake quality whilst keeping the nerves relaxed? The answer to that is yes, and we just have to look at like a house cat to see how it's done. Cats are very good at it. Actually, a lot of children are very good at it. And actually, all of you are very good at it when you're doing the sort of familiar activities. You know, I could watch somebody, I don't know, making pizzas in a restaurant, or the postman as he just puts the parcels in the box, or whatever it is. Often it's those repetitive activities. We're quite calm as we do them, you know, so it's not like you don't know how to do them. Jack, draw your right hip back. So Jake, when you're doing that version with the ropes, just be mindful of where you look, and then be mindful of the positioning of the head. So try that again. So back foot to the wall, hold on to the rope, which creates like a braking mechanism. So you've looked at your feet, that's fine. And just gaze straight in front of you at the window, essentially. That's it. So just looking at the window. And then just keep looking at the curtain or the window, wherever it is. Avoid looking down if you can. Just feel the body. Feel the body in space. If you find yourself using the eyes to position parts of the body, and you will, because that's what we all do, then just notice, as soon as you've gone back into the mode of using your eyes to position the body, you'll have put your head in a strange place. That's a very obvious point for me, because I'm staring at you all on a screen using Zoom. My head's going all over the place. Carly, turn your hands and your fingers so the fingers point back. Yeah, exactly. You can have your hands further back. So just watch me, Carly, just so you're clear. Basically, for the position of your shoulder blades, you're doing this, and you're doing it quite well, actually, with your hands. That's the classic position. That is correct. If you place your fingers back, see they're pointing back, it's easier to get the shoulder blades. It's a bit like that, they retract. So my shoulder blades, they're more pinned back. Yeah. I'm exaggerating a bit, you get the idea. Yeah, exactly. And you make your fingertips bony, yeah, and then you can feel the bones of your shoulder blades pressing into your back ribs. And then if you can do all of that and then return to relaxing, that would be kind of amazing, actually, because it's a very activating gesture. And then just let that go and continue into your seated forward. Laura, check your left knee. Susan, relax your neck. Ellie, relax the whole of the body. Monty, as you're beginning now, just start by noticing the difference between when you're moving and when you're still. So sometimes you're moving, sometimes you're relatively still, or now you're in dog pose, you're relatively still in dog pose. So just differentiate between movement and stillness at the physical level. Sarah, just relax, stay in that mode of being, less doing, more just being there. Laura, Amy, just be there, relax. Claire, relax your right shoulder. Jack, relax your neck. Perfect, really good. Chris, relax your face. You can keep the rest of the body super active, Chris, but face relaxed. Top hand soft. Now, Monty, stay with your process, stay with your breathing, and as well as feeling this difference between the physical body, either moving from one pose to the next or remaining relatively still, now notice the difference, Monty, between the mind when it moves. So there's thoughts, there's thinking, and then there's a gap, just like when I'm reading a poem to you and I get to a full stop and there's a short pause. It's not that I'm not going to read the next line, it's not that the thoughts don't continue again, but there'll be a pause. There's quite a lot of pauses. All of you can stay with that phase. Awareness of thoughts, awareness of gaps. Amy, relax the shoulders. Kate, lean a tiny bit to your left. Susan, keep lifting the pubic bone. Tanya, stay low. Now just notice the next time I say a bunch of that stuff, and I'm often saying a name and then an instruction and then another name and instruction, and more likely than not, the name is not your name. Just notice how your nerves react. Excuse me. So obviously, you're awake, you can hear, you're listening to the sounds. So next time I say, and I'll probably say a flurry of things, just notice how your nerves react. It's possible that you hear it, it becomes background. It's also possible that your ears prick up and your nervous system kind of alights. It's a shame we can't put those strange sort of shower cap electrodes and actually find out scientifically what's happening in your brain and nervous system as you hear me saying this stuff. It would be quite interesting. My guess is your brains fire up when you hear me say, Laura, draw your left shoulder back. Muriel, lift your pubic bone up. Claire, relax your shoulders. Jack, stretch your back arm more. Jake, exhale for your back leg. Sylvia, lift your chest. Tanya, stretch your back arm. So that's a quite common experience. I say a bunch of stuff like that. Now remember, when it gets to the gap, that's either the gap of my instruction or the gap of your thoughts coming to an end. Relax in the gap. nervous system will naturally become quieter when both you and I shut up. Someone's going to have to gag me. I know, I'm just going to press mute for a couple of minutes. Susan, relax the shoulders even more. Keep your neck long, relax the shoulders. Amy, stay there, just relax even more. Relax in the pose. Tanya, follow the out breath. Long, long out breath, and with the out breath, relax. Sheridan saying, follow the out breath. Long out breath, with the out breath, relax. Jack, keep lifting the chest and the sternum slightly. Yeah, exactly. Feel how the in-breath does that for you. Just follow it on each in-breath. Jake, pull the right hip slightly back. Kate, relax your eyes. Relax your eyes. Feel a little lift from the back of the skull, as if you could connect the eyes to the back of the brain, back of the skull. Amy, try and do the same pose, but sit on a lift. So, anything. You can use a foam block or two, use a bolster. Amy, that's brilliant. Now, Amy, lift your spine, lift your chest. You don't need to turn your head quite so much, just look straight to the side. Not all the way back, just straight to the side. Chest up, spine up. Breathe there, Amy. Ellie, left leg. Root the left leg. Exhale to root the left leg. Now just check in with what's going on. I mean, I consciously, and it's only been about 5 or 6 minutes, tried to say less. I didn't manage very well, but I did manage to shut up for a couple of minutes, with the help of the mute button. But if I talk less, what's happening in your own personal name, FM, radio station? It might be you enjoy the quietness, or it may be that then your own inner speech centers just pick up where I left off. So just notice what's going on. As you practice, leave nothing out. No part of the body. Don't leave out the mind, the thoughts. Just be aware, witness that too. The moods, the feelings, the emotions. So read the body mind, read the heart mind. Chris, exhale for the right knee. Jake, stay with the back leg. Claire, stay there, that's perfect. Just rest and relax there, especially relax the face and the mouth. Allow, lean a tiny bit to the left. Okay, that was perfect, really good. Carly, that's perfect, just relax there. Just stay there and relax. So I'm not just trying to be like nice, but you're all very good at doing the yoga poses. I mean, you really are exceptionally good at this. And I'm not just saying that to be nice. But those of you who know me really probably do know that's true. But because you're so good at it, it really means you're definitely at a phase where you've got to do less. Now again, I don't know you all very well. I mean, I know some of you very well, but lots of you I don't know that well. And I don't pretend to. I can't know what's your experience, but I know my experience. Because I tend to be a bit of a perfectionist, I don't focus on what I'm doing well. I focus on all the things that I do badly, and there's plenty of that. Now, instead of, when I'm trying to go to the mode of being, of relaxing in a pose, I need to just drop that stuff, that harsh, critical part. So you heard me say we're trying to create a non-judgmental space. And that's partly as a community of practitioners. You know, it's definitely my job, not judging you. When you hear me say straighten the knee, I'm just saying your knee's bent, straighten it. It's not a judgment. But a lot of what we need to be doing now, as you get to a particular, depth in a pose, is don't try to make any more adjustments or corrections. Carly, do you have your hands shoulder distance apart in that pose? Not together, hands apart. Yeah, that's it. And lift the chest. Jack, lift the chest and breathe with your in-breath. Lift the chest. With your out-breath, Jack, press your right knee down. Good. Feel that firmness that comes to the right quadriceps from right thighs and press your knee down. Sustain that with the right leg, Jack, and lift your chest up. That's good. Keep doing that and breathe. Tanya, just relax there. Do less. Do less. Do less by suggesting that the nerves can relax. Jake, press your left thigh back. It's quite a strong action. Good. Sustain that and then chin up. Wonderful. And then do less. Just hold that there. Chris, standing leg. Standing leg. From standing leg, feel the body as a whole. Carly, relax your mouth. Just touch your forehead, Carly. Squeeze your feet to lift them up, but relax your face, relax your mouth, and then come back up. Just a short hold in the pose. Keep breathing. Claire, relax your back. Ellie, just stay there, do less. So sustain it, but don't keep trying to make more corrections or more movements. Just sustain it, relax. Nina, just relax. Bernadine, do less, just relax. Jake, feel your left waist, then grab the rope to give yourself a bit more space. That's it, yeah, keep your arm quiet. Now lengthen your left waist. So left sit bone down, spine up. Yeah, it's coming nicely, keep doing that. So Alan, carry on as you are. One suggestion, it's just a suggestion, but But one suggestion is you alternate between doing some, what you might call Ujjayi breathing with sound. So breathe deliberately with sound. Notice how that feels. Notice the quality of the sound that you're producing. Obviously you're producing it by slightly constricting the epiglottis, the back of the throat. But then stay in whichever pose it is, and then just let the breathing be, and let your throat relax. Sometimes if my throat's a bit too gripped, I have to just breathe a couple of times in and out through the mouth, just to let that go. I might even have to vocalize the sound like, and it'll let the throat go soft. Then just breathe normally with no particular sound, and then switch it back on. So this technique of switching it on, switching it off, it's a bit like the mode of doing and being. It's a very similar aspect. We don't want to get stuck just always breathing with sound. That's one of the things that the Pattabhi Jois students generally get heavily criticised for. And it's because we can get, we just get a bit stuck actually. You may have experienced it. You come to class and I suggest that we sit and meditate. Somebody's in the corner doing Ujjayi breathing. And again, I'm not judging, it's something they're doing. Perhaps they're not even aware they're doing it. It may be that they think that's necessary. But certainly when I'm teaching, just sitting, I would always say, stop, you don't need to. Yeah, some people do carry on. In an example like that, it's very easy to think, oh, well, that's, that doesn't make any sense. But we're all doing very similar stuff all the time. I mean, the analogy that I often share and use with people is that when I start listening to techno music, dance music, and I'm driving, I tend to speed and go too fast. And then even when I get out of the car and into the supermarket and start shopping, I'm like rushing around the place. I can get a lot done when I listen to techno. And then sometimes I listen to dub reggae. You'd be lucky if I replied to any emails that day or do a single thing. So I have to be able to alternate my inner mixtape between dub reggae and techno. Anyway, you get the idea. We're talking about doing, being. Jack, lift the chest, stretch the fingers, lift your inner body, lift your spirit, lift your mood. You can cultivate the imagination to create that inner lift. Jake, that's great. Keep using the wall for support. Alternate breaths for the legs. Standing leg, then top leg, then breath for the standing leg, then top leg. Ellie, stay with the breathing, calm the breathing. Keep the breathing calm. Susan, see if you can stay in that shape and just let the breath become a bit softer, a bit quieter. Notice any sounds in your home environment. Sheridan, chin up now. Head up, chin up. Nina, as you carry on with cycles of boat pose, check your throat is relaxed. So you can breathe through the mouth if necessary, but let your throat relax on the inside. The vocal cords relax, the epiglottis relax, the tongue relax. Your nerves relax, let the nerves go softer. On the face of it, it doesn't make sense. Nina's doing Navasana. You know boat pose, you know it. You just hit Navasana and you probably feel a certain surge of adrenaline. Anyway, Sarah, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but Sarah, she sent me an email a few months ago describing this feeling of skiing downhill very fast, which in my mind would just fill me with panic and fear. It would fill me with adrenaline skiing downhill. And yet the description she gave was one of total ease, relaxation, being at home in her own skin, as if the snow and the mountainside was an extension of her. I mean, it was a beautiful description, a kind of transpersonal experience of sublime beauty. The reason I'm sharing that is basically because you might be doing a pose which on the face of it to other people looks like you're in pain and looks like you'd be full of adrenaline. And yet, this suggestion I'm making that you could calm the nerves in Kapotasana or whatever is, your nemesis, calm the nerves, Viparita Shalabhasana. I mean, I'm not saying it just to be facetious or to just, tell you to search for a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I believe it's possible. That's all I'm trying to say. It is possible. Bernadine, face away from the wall, just a touch, just a little bit. Jake, relax your back, follow the out breath to relax the back. There's a pathway to quietening the nerves. There's a pathway. So you just follow the out breath. The following of the out breath is that path to quietening the nerves. Jack, keep your breathing slow. It's a good shape. So now, just keep the breathing slow. Face relaxed. Claire, lift your spine. Monty, spread the toes, draw your left hip back a touch, just a little bit. Left hip back a bit. That's good, Ellie. Keep it nice and slow. Systematically work your attention through the feet, shins, legs. Staying with the breathing, the feet, shins, legs. Then move slowly through the arms, shoulders. Keep breathing, Ellie. Relax with the out breath. Alain, again, take a few breaths with deliberate sound, soft, smooth, continuous sound. Try not to let the sound be too raspy, smooth, soft sound. Then just stay there a bit longer, and just a couple of breaths, just let the breathing be. Possibly then even breathe through the mouth, but relax your breathing. Chris, relax your eyes. Monty, lift your chest. Bernadine, stay there. Straight leg, stay there, lift. Stay there. You've already got the lower back lifting, doesn't need to lift anymore, just stay there. Just keep breathing and relax. Breathe and relax. extra adjustment, just relax and breathe. Claire, straight arms, with the breathing, straight arms. Tanya, breathe and just relax, just relax. Jack, keep breathing. Keep your feet pressing back, buttocks pressing forward, Jack. And then come back up. Keep breathing, Jack. Face relaxed, strong legs. Use your legs to lift your chest. Fiona, lift the inner body. Fantastic. Kate, stay with your legs. Legs, feet, legs. Buttocks, legs, coccyx, legs. Breathing, legs. Laura, can you lift your hips much higher than that brick? I bet you can. No? Can you lift? Do you have a second brick? Just what? I'll just show you because I. So just what? I might be getting this very wrong. Like I don't know this for sure, but my guess is you're actually quite mobile, or more mobile than you really. So that's one way of doing it, which is what you do. But you see, I can just put another brick like that. So just what? Now it might be, if I lie down, you see when I go there, I've got the brick here. And that's okay. Now I could lift higher, but not much, but I can actually come onto my, so I can come onto my tiptoes, put the other brick on top. So once I've got that position, then I can, so it is worth working on taking it higher. You see, I've got more height now. So you can play around with that. I mean, you could just use a foam block then, but play around with extra height. I think it might work for you. Yeah, it's quite hard to do, isn't it? You're really close, yeah, just a little bit higher. Don't worry if you can't do it, you just keep trying. Yeah, exactly. That's smart. Use the book. Okay, engage the buttocks gently. Yes. Carly, keep your feet parallel, big toes in, roll your knees in. come back up. Just go forward quite a long way. So walk forward. You can still use the wall, but you even further forward. Further forward, further. Further, further, further. Yeah, now try. Now go back. It's the same as you did before, but so away from the wall. Theoretically, Kay, I mean, I don't know if it's going to work out, but roll the thighs in more. So it could be if you use a belt around your thighs. If you use the belt around let your thighs and your knees be quite wide, but wider than your hips. But that will give more stability. But the more you roll your thighs in, Kay, the broader you'll be at the sacroiliac joints and the lumbar. And then the other alternative I have is to use the chair or something so that you can't shorten the lumbar. I can show you that version afterwards. Have a go like that first, see what happens. Jack, when you do that pose, check your palms are flat, don't let your hands cup. Roots of the fingers down, Jack. Try again. Monty, relax the face. Laura, come on, straight arms now. I think, Kate, one of the things you need is the belt. Let me just show you. At the moment, you're putting the belt quite low around your knees. I would use the belt higher on the thighs. So, I mean, there's different positions for it. It's not, what you're doing isn't wrong exactly. You had the belt kind of down here, which I think is actually harder. Whereas if you had the belt higher up on the thighs there, it's giving support more to the outer hips. I mean, it's not the outer hip. There's my greatest trichanter. I've gone lower, but I've not taken, down there it's possible, but it's more challenging. So I'd be there with the belt, exactly. And then the other thing I was just observing, Kate, is my recommendation would be to slow it down. If you're doing Supta Virasana, give it time, slow, then go on. Because you're going quite quickly. Susan, exhale for the knees, straight knees, both knees straight. Top knee, left knee straight, and then relax. Ellie, give yourself loads of time, go slowly. Muriel, go really slowly, give yourself loads of time. Laura, stay with the breathing and the legs, go really slowly. So we started the practice with this kind of reflective notion of noticing and recognizing, acknowledging the difference between the body moving and the body being still, the thoughts, the mind moving and the experience of a quiet mind or a still mind. And then we carried that on into modes of doing actions, scanning the body, doing techniques, and the mode of being. Now you're well into the heart of practice. Some of you are at quite challenging aspects of the practice. Is it possible almost to have marinated in that feeling of being? Is it possible to be in that mode even when you're doing something really challenging? So yes, the outside observer sees you doing something that looks like a complicated yoga pose. But can you approach it from that mode of being? So you've all heard these phrases like stillness within movement, movement within stillness. Now sometimes these phrases, they can just sound like paradoxes, but they're actually not quite like that. I mean, there is an element of paradox within them. I was reading a description recently of the Zen koans, like one hand clapping, this kind of thing. The description was, it's not just a nonsensical statement designed to trip up your mind. It's actually a statement, a bit like, when you get a famous legal case and it sets a legal precedent. So the description of a koan, one hand clapping, or these statements like you heard me read from the Buddha when I'm sitting. These are actually within the framework of Dharma practice. These are statements which are like legal precedents of law. They're speaking about a certain truth at a kind of transcendental state or a very imminent state, such as the one I read this morning. But we are invited to chew on these statements. We are invited to digest them, marinate in them, work with them. It's not just pop music that's designed to entertain us. It's like, oh, that's nice, and now forget about it. Now, Jack, see if you can straighten the legs a bit. With the breathing, straighten the legs. Take your chest towards the back wall. Brilliant. Good. And then bend your arms, come down onto your head. Good. Walk your hands closer to your feet, just a little bit, 6 inches in, and lift up again. Right. Keep breathing, Jake. Jake, stay there, relax your mouth, keep breathing. Keep descending into the right hip. As you relax in the postures, notice how sometimes you do an action which is stimulating. So you hear me say something like press your knees down. Obviously at that point you stretch your hamstrings more. You stretch some of the soft tissue in the legs, or wherever it happens to be, the back. But in the same way that you have a bit of a shock for your nerves if you first get into, it could be a hot shower or a cold shower, and then you relax into the water, it's kind of the same process going on. So it's possible to be in the shower and turn the temperature of the water down. It doesn't have to be cold, but it could be cooler. And you can just get used to that and relax. It's the same as you go into the pose. There is an enlivening gesture, there is a gesture of intensification. But then as you get used to it, you relax. Relax, let the nerves relax. Belly, straight knees in Mayurasana, straight knees. You're doing really well there, but straighten the knees even more. Jack, press your knees down, lift your chest. Bernadine, go slowly, slowly, slowly. Hold it there. And come up. It's looking really good, well done. Try not to hold the breath. Don't hold the breath. I know it's difficult, but don't hold the breath. Fiona, power through the legs. Tremendous power in the legs to open the chest with the legs. So Chris, when you're doing that back bending, and for anybody that's doing back bending, or for any of you that've got your heart rate up, it's possible to have your heart rate up for a very long time and still relax. We don't talk about that much in postural yoga, but you might be doing a pose and the breath is speeding up. Don't panic. Just let your heart rate speed up, let your breathing be quicker, and still relax. Stay there, Nina, and relax. Sheridan, lift your chest right up, sternum, chest right up. Jake, that was great, really good. Do again, both sides. Tanya, relax your abdomen, relax the neck. That's great, Sheridan. Learn to stay up for longer. Jack, keep squeezing your knees as you stretch up. It's looking good, Jake, really good. Sarah, deep breathing. Deep breathing. Ellie, just relax there. It's perfect. Just relax there. Sylvia, gently retract the shoulder blades. Yeah, just a little bit. And remember to squeeze the knees to straighten the legs, even if the feet are quite low. It might feel like the feet are closer to the floor, that's okay, but very straight knees. Press the pubic bone down gently. Yeah, sure. bolster on top, but you don't need to. You could just, you don't have to do that. And just watch. There's a bit of movement. It's basically like this Shavasana. So the awkward bit is, you see the top bar here, that kind of gets in the way. So I'm starting here, and I'm going back. But then I'm going to, having got back, so you see I've put my back on the bolster there. But basically, I'm going to go through this way, but then I need to go further forward, so just watch. Basically, as I'm going back, I actually pull this forward quite a bit. So I've got to play around with how to get from that. See, my head's in the way, so I've got to kind of get my head through. Now I can actually pull this further forward again, so hold on. There, you see I pulled that a long way forward.
And the bolster supports your lumbar.
The bolster supporting my lumbar and supporting my back ribs actually. Now I put my arms through, that's slightly awkward. And you can't just hold like this or this. But because of where the bar is on most of the chairs, I can reach back and grab the bar. You see I've got the bar now? There's a bar just there on the chair. Or I could reach back to hold the chair legs. I'm not trying to take my feet, I'm just using the chair. But right now my back is totally supported. Okay? I haven't bothered to belt my thighs, but I should do. I'm going to stay there a long time. So the awkward bit is kind of, because if I just go back here, my head's going to hit the bar there. So basically what I did is I took that too far back. I'm actually not back arching all that much. I can always start from here. And then I can drag this further forward. But then there's also that slight awkwardness how you get your head through. So it is a little bit awkward working on the chair. I mean, what some people would do is some people would probably start. You could theoretically start, from a place like this. Some people would start on there and then curve their feet under. You see? So there's a whole bunch of different ways of doing it. But essentially, you're using this here to sustain that space there. That's what you're looking for. You're sustaining that space with the chair. And because you're supported, you can actually stay for ages. I mean, as long as it feels all right for you. But I've worked a bunch of times with Alaric, and people have put me in positions, and then they're like, right, just stay there. And they leave me there for 20 minutes, which I know it sounds ridiculous, but no, it's all right, actually. You'd be amazed. When you're using the septuagint T's in some of these positions, it's just like hanging off the ropes or something. It's quite pleasant. And you're not having to use muscular grip to stay there. That's kind of why in the Iyengar school they talk so much about backbending being calming, because if you've got the support, you can just relax. And it's one of those weird things, which is the longer you stay there, the more you just go, oh, it's totally fine. Sometimes recovery takes a bit of time.
I can sometimes feel the adrenals kick in when I'm on the ground.
Yeah. If you follow the out breath, the adrenals will. So the thing is, you see, is the positioning of them is there, isn't it? So you've got kidney and then adrenal just on top. So if that's getting squeezed, and if you're associating it with panic, that's one thing. But yeah, you can totally learn to train to switch that on.
Thank you.
No problem. So I land practice now with the breathing very quiet. Relax your breathing. Nina, relax the breathing. Stay in that shape, relax. Chant, lift your shoulders more. go slowly. Carry on as you are, slowly, slowly. That's it, right back, you can do it. Hands to the floor. Strong legs, Sylvia, with the breathing, strong legs. Touch your toes, you're really close now. Head down, walk in, touch your toes. Another inch to go. Walk in, walk in. And up. Use the legs, legs, legs. You can do it. Legs. Nearly. Nearly there. It's a good method, Miro. Keep working on it. You work out to get your arms through, so you can get your arms through. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, great. Good, then relax and breathe. Muriel, keep sending your hips forward. Yes. That's good, Ellen, really good. Sustain that feeling. You've got good lift in the chest there, sustain it. Straight legs, Ellie. It's looking good, Jake. Slowly, Nina, slowly. Tanya, keep the back of the legs full. Full at the back of the legs, back of the knees full. Bernadine, straight arms. Stay with your legs, Jake. Feet, legs, knees. Okay, relax your back. Nina, the first one was perfect. It was good. Stay with the breathing, Sylvia. Go slowly, legs, legs, legs. Alan, straight arms now. Thanks, Laura. It was really good, Alan. And do it again, and then straighten the legs, taking the chest closer to the wall. Sheridan, inner legs, inner legs. Muriel, that's perfect. Just relax then. Relax. Allow straight legs. Breathe through the mouth as you straighten the legs more. Even more. Straight legs. Yeah, it's coming. Brilliant. Really good. Tanya, lift your shoulders. Lift your shoulders. Lift your shoulders. As your feet come down, lift your shoulders. Sylvia, lower buttocks, lower buttocks, lower glutes. Keep breathing. Jay, that's brilliant. Just relax there. Perfect. Thank you, Susan. Take care. So Nina, work on rocking forward and back. That's it, yeah. Slow movements. That's it. Forward and back. A few times. When you're rocking forward and back, keep your elbows in. Down to your head again, Nina. Walk your hands in. Use the arms like handstands, strong arms. Again, rock forward and back. And you come down and rest. Thanks, Jay. Monty, that's looking really good. Keep spinning your upper arms out. Fantastic. You're doing it really nicely. Keep the breath moving. Thanks, Ellen. Take care. Muriel, legs, knees, legs, knees. Okay, everybody, I'll leave you there. Take care.